going to be available here from Dignitas' side?
Olaf is banned. Yes. By Dignitas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm
There it
blind.
is.
I'm blind.
I got
I'm
you,
blind.
buddy.
You got
That's
me.
why I'm
Oh,
here.
my goodness.
He's doubting you for a
Why
second.
I'm
He's
here.
like,
Are you
moly.
sure Olaf is bad?
I'm in Diggs!
Yeah.
Think about brackets.
All right, fine. But I like this quite a bit. The Irelia is still pretty flexible between mid and top lane, so I want to see what we got. Even Renekton being banned and recognizing that, that they have a window of picking that and not getting immediately countered. Good call.
And I already like this draft from Cloud9 because it gives them aggressive, strong lanes, which I think is really important when we think about a hands-based team. Give them champions where if they have the hot hands, you just pop off immediately. On the Dignitas side, I'm a little concerned because I think they already have weaker laners in general. And I actually would have loved to see Dignitas go for more of a LeBlanc blind pick, for instance. Something that is generally gonna have, strong laning. Yeah, there's some matchups you can pick into LeBlanc, like, you can pick a Malzahar and, one could argue that it's a counter. So it sort of depends on how you play the matchup.
It is not a counter for everyone that's thinking. I
That's
promise you.
arguable, yes. I know I had strong feelings.
It's probably
on it. But overall, I like that Cloud9 is just taking away a lot of the more lane dominant champs.
I like where your head's at. Either Dignitas, for the approach of Dignitas, would have liked to have seen them maybe take the LeBlanc themselves or something like that with agency. But I will say this, given that we talked about the fact they've already locked in the 6th seed, there's no movement in the standings for them. That's where I'm a little bit more willing to say, you know what, try something like the Irelia, right? Let's see if we've opened up another avenue to victory for ourselves just before we get into the postseason. Start making teams think about the different places where we can threaten and strategically win.
Yeah, and one of the biggest gambits here is the Ziggs that just got trapped by Cloud9 here with a LeBlanc and Kalista in both mid and bot lane. I'm expecting it to be a Ziggs bot lane. But now that means that 100 Thieves are going to be, or at least Cloud9, are going to be playing rather aggressively towards bot lane. So if, Dignitas get away scot-free in the laning phase, great. You have like a boatload of damage on the Ziggs and a strong team fight, but I expect Cloud9 to be able to just nip that in the butt.
Yeah, but good luck getting away scot-free when there's a Kalista now being drafted for bot lane. There's Leona available to draft, so you can make that a kill lane. I agree, Dash, on experimentation from Dignitas. I also think psychology matters a lot, though.
Yeah.
And to get an upset win against Cloud9, even though they're not in peak form, I think is huge for your mentality going into playoffs. So I actually would have liked to see Dignitas turbo try hard this draft, but if you lose, it's not going to be a crushing defeat.
I mean, that I cannot argue, especially considering the conversation I just had with FBI following their first game of the day, where he talked about thinking League of Legends is very much a momentum-based game. As much as it is a team game, strategic game, all that kind of stuff, he does believe that the slump that they have fallen into and what they need to work on most right now is getting out of that slump and into some momentum. So 100% agree with you. For Dignitas, perhaps the more valuable thing here would just be coming away with the victory, not necessarily trying 5 unique picks and seeing how it goes.
And we don't know what they're end up practicing in scrims. Like, this could have been what they're ultimately comfortable in. And looking at this, it kind of reminds me of what FlyQuest actually drafted a little earlier, where they go for full side lanes and, pressure. I'm expecting something like a Camille on 5. And then, of course, you have Ziggs that can either enhance the Camille ultimate if you're going on top of the Kalista and you can just throw in your ultimate there.
Does FakeGod play Camille?
Or you can play on side lanes. Now, I do think he does play it. I don't expect him, it depends whether he's willing to play it here. He has the ultimate safety of it having 5 pick, though. So you get the chance to see the full draft and where and what Fudge is actually picking.
Alistar the pickup.
Yeah.
Zach's an interesting one. This is a straight full engage that they have. It's Zach, it's Nautilus, so it's a little scary for LeBlanc and Kalista as the game goes on. So I'm a little afraid for Cloud9 if they don't get an immediate advantage in the early portions, the first 10 minutes of the game, that it's going to be difficult for them versus what Dignitas has.
Yeah, but I think they rounded out with Tahm Kench that they could they have Alistar and Tahm Kench, so they have so much option to disengage now.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, I think if we look at the other side, there's no way Ziggs is going to be getting out of these team fights alive versus a Viego, a Kalista throwing a gigantic bull into the back of the fight, and a LeBlanc. So I think both teams, have to worry about just making their AD carry, or Ziggs in this case, self-sufficient in the majority of these fights, and I expect a pretty messy game.
I'm not actually too concerned about the Ziggs. I think he'll be pretty safe. The way Dignitas is going to play this game is you have 4 melees. They're the ones running at Cloud9.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the other way around. And it's actually pretty hard for LeBlanc to kill Ziggs. Even if Ziggs went mid, it's pretty hard for her to actually kill him because if you W through Ziggs' E, you're actually going to like lose 90% of your HP. So I imagine Cloud9 is just going to try to front the back and kill Irelia first. That's at least how I would take the fight. I would send Tahm Kench to disrupt them as much as I can, ignore Ziggs, just dodge his skill shots, and just try to kill Irelia first.
I think just taking a step back and looking at the draft, I like this from Cloud9 because it's a very Cloud9 draft. If you're playing around mid and early game, like they're strong laners and they're also very creative players. So if Ziggs is walking into, let's say, a good Dragon instance, right? They're walking towards Dragon to try and pick it up. That's what you want for a situation for Perkz. Hop in, Q ultimate E just to pop a Ziggs, right? So I think this is something that they're fairly comfortable with all season long.
Agreed. And to your point, Hi, about the 5v5, I don't think Cloud9 wants to 5v5 here. I think they want to play side lanes. I think they've drafted accordingly, and I think this plays to their strengths.
Well, it looks like a very well-rounded comp for Cloud9. Dignitas bringing in a little bit of flavor with that Irelia in the mid lane. We'll see if the experimentation for them is enough to take down the seed above them. Cloud9, Dignitas hitting the rift. Back out to Phreak and Mark for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. Welcome back to Summoner's Rift. Cloud9 versus Dignitas may well be a preview of the first round of playoffs. We know Dignitas are locked into 6th seed at this point. They are practicing to be ready for the best of 5. So I like seeing some different comps come through. I'm glad to see more players practice Ziggs. I'm glad we get to see a Zac. That one's fun. Good smile, you look good. And on Cloud9's side, they're fighting to keep up with EG and TL at 3rd to take that spot.
Exactly, and I think, given that we're seeing all those teams in that kind of first round, first stage of playoffs is pretty interesting. We can see how Dignitas compares to them because even if, it's not C9 that they play in that first opponent, you're playing one of these teams. EG, TL looked pretty close, all things considered, though TL had control the entire time. So Dignitas wants a good showing here to head into playoffs with some confidence. And I think the draft that they ended up with is very different than what you're used to seeing because Neo not on an AD carry, not, with Aphromoo as the big playmakers is going to be a very different look for them because it feels so much more focused on the top side when you have all these melee matchups and really aggressive situations, especially with a Zac who wants to get involved in them.
Well, Fudge has already gotten his first trade looking good. And hey, by the way, the dive goes live at 5 a.m. Pacific every Tuesday on youtube.com/LCS. Occasionally I'm on that. Mark, more often you are.
Yeah, we've been trading off a little bit more this time around. This year.
Yeah, I filled in for you once. I filled in for Azale once. They haven't asked me back since, so apparently I'm just not a good Azale replacement.
Kobe needs to go on vacation. I think
then I can replace him.
Yeah,
that'd be good. Maybe you guys can, like, 2 of you at the same time, and I can just go on twice in the same episode. I think that works that way. Yusui getting a good trade against Perkz. Again, very smart with Perkz. You can see, I'm going to reiterate this. We had it in the last game. Melee champs run out of cooldowns sometimes. You can chase them down and auto them 3 or 4 times after the trade to make it a much more fair trade. That is how you got to play the range with melee matchups, is a bit on the edge as now Yusui knocks down the wave, gets the perfect 12 CS. Hey, good job there. And it will mean Perkz loses a few. Perkz is down some of his potions, and Yusui gets the first chance to recall off the first wave and get, what, a Doran's boots? Anything?
We'll see what he grabs. Probably another Doran's item, I would assume.
I don't think you can get a Doran's off of 2 waves. It's boots, yeah.
Boots, okay.
Yeah, so quick tech for any Irelia players out there. And really, anyone at all, you can get about 300 gold off your first 2 waves. You get perfect CS, and then take a quick recall and just have an item lead in the matchup.
Yeah, I assume it's also just with the aggressive trading you want to recall anyways, because it's not one of those matchups where it's like Syndra Balls, where you're going to be dodging skill shots left and right constantly. It's not quite one of those matchups where Boots actually changes how you play it quite a bit.
It also cost him 3 CS. By doing that, he lost all 3 melees of the next wave, which is actually quite a lot of golden XP, so he's going to be late to level 3, and suddenly Perkz has lane control, so maybe don't do that.
We'll have to see. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Maybe it will help, sticking on the LeBlanc if you have Boots and she doesn't, you're going for an all-in. There's a lot of situations that Boots secretly make a big deal in, getting to a jungle skirmish earlier, these kinds of things. So it's also interesting with LeBlanc Irelia. It's new, quote-unquote, Irelia. She did receive a number of substantial changes that made her a little bit better into the magic damage matchups.
They're diving.
Her W. Hold on here.
This poor boy is getting dove. Misses the first stun, and there's a duo lane. This should be called, they know Zac's not around either. You can see Yusui hugging pretty much the far left of the lane, and Yusui got the Spidey sense, but the flash headbutt pulverized means this boy's losing an entire wave under the turret.
still was able to flash out and stay relatively healthy. It feels like he can walk back up here. Has to be a little careful because Blaber,
gosh.
if the 3-man's not going to work, bring the 4th.
The flash jump for Perkz. The chain's gonna land. A stun buys time, but it's not gonna buy enough. First blood comes through. Try again. Yusui's in a 1v4.
And right off that, they're all going to recall. They maybe could have continued that into invading onto the red buff, but they don't want to get greedy. They're going to back off here. And we see, I believe Neo just has the wave frozen there, so not going to push it in, not going to try and get any turret damage back. We'll have to see what the CS lead is. It's even. So for how long C9's bot lane was in here, where they made an initial dive, got the flash trade out, backed off. You know, there's not really any turret damage. It's like you don't do very much to it with the extra damage reduction on it in the early stages, so not going for the plate, and they just redive again later, get the kill. Not too bad. Lose a lot of summoners, but this is one of those super volatile matchups where I can understand this investment and to put the Irelia down. And it looks like they're going to be able to get back in time to catch the majority of this wave. We'll see if Vulcan can hold it. They should try and shove this in.
Yep. So they burned 3 flashes and I want to say about a wave and a half to get that kill in mid. They may well have denied way more than a wave and a half. Yusui did TP back to the lane, but that was really the cost. Yes, Cloud9 will get some farm here. They will not match up in CS overall. But yeah, we'll see. Right? That was the big play for the early game. Obviously, it has built them a gold lead early on. Also want to note that it seems Akaadian's gank top did burn Fudge's flash. So, you know, a little bit was gained for that effort.
I think the topside matchup's the one where I'm most interested to see how this goes, because Tahm Kench has been a bit of a menace in a lot of melee matchups. People are trying to figure out ways to deal with him. And notoriously, Aatrox does generally do well into them because you have the, even though you're melee, your Qs are ranged and can get this trade through the minion waves that Tahm Kench can't quite match with his tongue lash. So maybe this will be a situation where that gank pays off. Because traditionally, I'd say ganking the Tahm Kench isn't going to do very much.
This is definitely info known, right? Because Akaadian would have seen that Blaber had kind of finished pulling the camp around. So with the ward down, is there a play here? Can you jump onto him?
Just ignore
Maybe
Blaber.
It's Fudge, right? He's flashless, puts the W, and he's out of range for anything more with the elastic slingshot. So Fudge is safe.
That's something I assume that Aatrox should be good for, is interrupting those kinds of Ws out defensively. But I guess he was out of range, or maybe the cooldown was down. He used it early in a trade. Because either way, Fudge is able to get out of there despite not having the flash. And you know, Dignitas falling behind a little bit. 1,000 gold already feels pretty bad against a very early game team comp in C9.
Yes, well, Bramble Vest is in. Fudge can feel a lot more comfortable. Zven has come down, or up in this case, with Blaber to go knock down this dragon. Easy smite, easy Ren, whoever wants to do it. Okay, Ren first, then smite. This maximizes the XP gain, by the way. Junglers get more experience for killing big monsters. Nice satchel, but... And yeah, Vulcan's like, wait a second, my teammate's not in range anymore. No reason to go for any more of this. All right, no headbutt pull.
Zven's like, I'm gonna catch these waves, bro. You have fun over there. Yeah. It's interesting. One of the things I was kind of touching on about the Neo Aphromoo bot lane with these two champions and why I was like a little unsure about it is because Akaadian has gotten a lot of attention for doing well coming into this game for a team that was, you know, struggling all things considered, and he was able to stabilize them after they had started to fall with the initial swap. But the bigger force that has been working for the team the entire time has actually been Neo and Aphromoo. They are such an important part of the early game playmaking for this team. They are first in their position for both of them in kills and assists at 15, and they are the only two in those positions as well to have double-digit first blood kills and assists. So when you're looking at how Dignitas wins games and gets leads, it's through bot lane. And this is just not a bot lane that you can realistically play through, especially considering, you know, the matchup. Yeah. And that's why it's a bit of a, I mean, you're experimenting. It's the end of the regular season, though, so I'm not sure, you know, how much more experimenting you really need to do.
Yeah, it's interesting, because certainly you're not, I don't think you're ever killing a Kalista with the Ziggs down here. That feels pretty unrealistic. I do think you kind of spike her on this point in time. Like, if you can get the Rift Herald, for example, and then use that to crash in a bot turret, then finish it with a satchel. Like, it's almost possible to not get the first turret off of Herald plus satchel. Good recall spacing there by Yusui, away from what's an easy distortion plus chain, so he's able to get off. But yeah, Perkz is going to be ahead in this lane.
Perkz looking good, and like we said, the bot lane, it does make sense in terms of like a comp position where you're diving backline, you know, Ziggs just lobs that ult on top, you have a lot of physical damage in your solo lanes, like, that all makes sense to me. It's more of how they work as a team, whereas for C9, it's like, this is what you want. You know, you heard the analyst desk talking a lot about, they're a hands team. They want to skill check you, they want to go for dives, they want to play aggressive, and that's when they look their best, and minus the Tahm Kench, you could argue. It's a pretty hands-focused team.
Yeah, but hey, if anyone screws up, Fudge is there to kind of, they're safe now, right? You do have some oh crap buttons, and the 1,000 gold lead and the plus dragon is going to look good for C9 so far. They have made it really work. They spent so much time in mid lane, and the end result is, again, Perkz feels pretty good. Yusui's not going to land this stun as Perkz just kind of sidesteps it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things about the matchup that back in the day when you played it, the stun could be pretty instant because you just put the short one and it just, if you see the distortion come in, you can sometimes stun out of it. With the delay that they added onto the E-stun, it feels a little bit harder to actually land that onto the LeBlanc, who's very tricky.
Decent damage on the Vulcan. They've got the control ward, so I'm not sure Cloud9 can do much. Yusui is around, Neo's around, good smite, they're going to claim it. Satchels, decent damage out of the Ziggs now as well. There's not going to be much more of a play. Akaadian going to wait, and actually I'm surprised he didn't even just use the blast plant, but he's going to frontline. They're going to look for a bit more. He wants this one. Going to find a lot of damage. Ziggs up the top, nearly killing Blaber, and he's going to send it back onto the Perkz as well. He even takes his own bit of ult damage.
Bounce house all around. Zach's bouncing other people. Ziggs is bouncing people. Blast Cone's bouncing people. And in the end, everyone gets off. No bruises, no deaths. Very safe bounce house.
2 summoners burned out of Cloud9. Zven ult comes down as well. Akaadian also out of his flash and his ult. And yeah, I mean, pretty similar trade, right? Couple of summoners, couple of ultis across the board. Red buff steal has come through. FakeGod still in his battle with Fudge and seems to be winning this one decently.
So far, I mean, the annoying thing about the Tahm Kench is you're going to see that gray health start ticking up, and you're like, all right, well, now we're about even. And Tahm Kench gets even more annoying with the tongue lash shields and all this stuff. But at the very least, you can see he has priority. FakeGod has a CS advantage. He's able to start moving down to the river, hopefully get some vision for the rest of his team. And that red buff invade, you saw some of the power of what the Dignitas comp wants to do about just like throwing a bunch of abilities at a backline member. They almost blew Blaber up. I don't think Yusui was able to get involved in it. I think he's like one of the critical members, him or FakeGod being like the actual killer in that situation. You have a lot of damage, but someone needs to be the assassin.
And that's what happens when Vulcan's holding cooldowns, because you don't care about headbutting away the Zach. He's not the important part. And it's like, well, when Yusui jumps in, I hit Pulverize, and we just focus the man. Yeah. And you're just going to die for that one, because you've got a Vamp Scepter and Merc Treads. That doesn't help you against Zven.
It is a pretty tough team comp to play into in that regard for Dignitas, where okay, you go in on Zven. If Fudge is in the area, you know, he might use that Devour defensively. You talk about pulling Vulcan out of situations. You have just the Alistar is always thought of as for the flash ult engages. But like you're saying, he's just really annoying for a melee. If you're going to sit on top of your carry and you try and go in, he just pulls you. So this is one of those games where I could see it being a little slower, which we kind of see right now, because both team comps have good ways to neutralize each other's options.
Well, Perkz walking back and forth in the mid lane. Yusui temporarily down a level, but should match 9 before too long. Spamming, you know, at a certain point, it's too many thumbs up team emotes.
It's for you more than him at that point.
Right.
I'm good, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. But he will take the CS under the wave, and under the turret, I should say. And now we've got a Herald summon in mid lane. This will be maybe shared. Perkz should be able to get into range for that one. And indeed does, as the first 3 plates have now been taken off the mid lane. And Dragon is under fire, Dragon is under water, and it's claimed. Good rend, good escape. A jump from the Kalista, the ulti from Blaber, no problem at all, no casualties, and Akaadian not going to find himself into a fight. So Cloud9 only have the gold lead, but now the first 2 Dragons as well.
Yeah, 12 minutes in, this is a good start to the Drake snowball. You know, they had the Rift Herald mid lane to draw a little bit of pressure. Dignitas kind of tried to ignore it. You saw Akaadian walk right past this. Like, I'm not going to get baited into trying to defend my mid lane turret here. I want to stop the dragon, but just too slow to get in there, and the Kalista rend secures it pretty easily. And so another opportunity for Dignitas to try and fight that just slips through their fingers.
Well, we just keep waiting and scaling then. Anathema's Chains is done for Fudge. He is happy just to mark the Aatrox and not really take much damage there anymore. Zven just farms under the turret, and, you know, Ziggs really wants to be there in a spot where the ult's going to land, so not going to get any more resets on a Perkz. The root was good enough to let him walk out of the way, even through the Mercury Treads. But Ziggs not being able to get more than just 1 turret plate. Like, you really want to finish the last 2 with a satchel and get that surge of gold, but they haven't really gotten the help. Ziggs, or sorry, I should say Zach, has mostly just been farming through the jungle. Spent 1 gank top that burned a flash that has come back from cooldown, and end of the day, just both junglers are waiting and scaling up.
Yeah, it's just like, where do you want to go? I mean, Zach tried to go top once or twice. Fudge is at this point pretty hard to kill. The mid lane is volatile, but it went bad for Dignitas early, and at that point, whenever you take that 2v2, you have to be like certain that you can win that, because at any moment Viego pops up and then you're in trouble in the 2v2, and then the bot lane, like we said, not really an option. Zven and Vulcan have, for the advantage that they have, spent most of it roaming around, and Vulcan is one of the highest roaming supports in the league. There's like 3 of them right around 45%, I think it is. It's like Core JJ, him, and Chime. And so, you know, they have done how they wanted to advance the game plan with that mid dive, which especially makes sense in the matchup. But they have no turret plates down the bot side yet. It's all basically mid lane advantages. And so while they did grab that 1,000 gold lead right out the gate, they haven't been able to grow it in any way.
And honestly, even talking about the mid lane lead, and as Perkz grabs the wave, hold on, there's a fight in the top sides. We got to watch for that one. Okay, no more real fight here. Despite the mid lane lead, it's like, okay, well, the Rift Herald crashed the turret plates, and your 4-man dive, you're still down 12 CS in mid.
So you've got your flash forced.
Yeah, sure. I mean, right, so that's, you know, some good plays on the Dignitas side. So, like, you really haven't actually gotten much from Cloud9's side. And now as CC comes across, they are going to put the ult on a Perkz, and this man might just die. Flashless, Ziggs at the top. There's the double distortion away. He'll stay alive. They can at most kill a clone. And now, ooh, Fudge nearly gets the stun to make more happen. Could have almost chomped Aphromoo. And Ziggs, and Zach rather, wants to go back in. Will only find himself slowed up. Then can't find much more.
Surprised they could not finish Perkz off there with how well they layered their CC in the beginning. Not able to find the kill on the flashless Perkz. Does give them a little bit of control on the top side right as the second Rift Herald spawns. So at the end of the day, a pretty good fight for them that they can convert this into their own lead. Finally, this is the first objective on the map that they'll be able to grab after C9 got the first Rift and the first 2 dragons.
Okay, something back on the map. That's going to be useful. And
oh, maybe not.
Okay, TP play coming across. As long as the smite's available, it is for Akaadian. Yusui kind of sequestered off, though. Perkz going to find the chain. Yusui could die, and they have to turn around for the fight now. Going to block as much damage as possible, but he's going to run out of health. And now the Aurelia's on the other side. Smite's going to come through. Akaadian claims it, but you're fighting a 4v5 team fight. Good luck with this one. Over the wall comes the jungler, and that's going to be the push towards FakeGod. Big thick skin there, hitting him around. The bounce house is in.
Here's
Can
Perkz.
they get Zven? Zven staying alive. Zven will not die. Neo gonna fall instead. Reset comes in. Flash to safety. The Ziggs satchel. The ulti back in. And the Zac is just bloblets now. Dignitas just cannot team fight.
It is an ace at 16 minutes at the Rift Herald. The TP back in by Perkz. They completely outplayed Dignitas there. You talk about being a hands team, you show that replay because that was 100% outplay by C9.
Beautifully done. Bud Light ace. Yeah, well done, Cloud9.
I mean, it's just so well set up by C9. I mean, you can throw maybe a little bit of shade at Dignitas here, but Yusui's off on the flank. He's like, if they walk forward through here, I'm going to try and jump on Vulcan, Blaber, and Zven. That's what he's thinking. Doesn't see the TP coming in. Then the chain lands, and Blaber just focuses onto Yusui. Vulcan, in the meantime, is like, hey, I'm Alistar with an ult on. Look at me. I'm big and dumb. Try and hit me. Oh, great. Yep. You also have Kalista ult. There's no way. Nice re-engage. Fudge finds the flank, and, you know, there's 4 people beating on him here, and it's just not doing anything to him. He devours the Aatrox. I am surprised FakeGod went for the instant flash out. I think you should try and kill Vulcan there. You know, you are not that much of a threat, and because Dignitas played it kind of defensively there after getting devoured by the Tahm Kench, it gives Perkz time to wrap around from this really long flank that he took after killing Yusui.
That ult was so sick.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is just a really clean fight, and Zven kiting that out perfectly, coming back in, you know, really utilizing Kalista to her mobility to, like, look, you can try and kill me, and just baited so many members of Dignitas.
Yeah, special shout out to Blaber. I know I said it during the replay, but saw that the slingshot was coming and timed his ult to hit him as he arrived before the knockup, so the Zac died before ever landing for the stun, because I think Akaadian wins that fight if you don't perfectly time the ulti and get rid of that one.
Yeah,
so.
because you might get some blobs and stuff too.
Yeah, right, then he just starts hitting you from there on. But we've got more fights going on here. Vulcan out of cooldowns, but not for Zven, so no problem there. Akaadian bouncing around, and there's just not a play to be had. Dragon claimed, and now, yeah, it's on the way out. But be careful, FakeGod, you're alone versus the team. Gore Drinker will not matter. Zven claims the kill 8-0.
This is the game right here.
Zac impression?
That's Dignitas' soul impression. That was a brutal fight at the Dragon here. Another 3-for-0, and it's just one of those things where, how do you find kills from this point? Like, you can't kill the Alistar. Tahm Kench is unkillable. Blaber is, you know, really mobile on the Viego. Tons of immunities as well. Slippery, LeBlanc, and, like, maybe Zven is the one person you can focus down. But we already talked about Tahm Kench has tools to save him. This feels so hard for Dignitas here, and they don't have necessarily great pick tools. I mean, you can land the Tahm Kench ult, you can land, or excuse me, the Nautilus dredge line or something, and try and target out one person, but you're probably going to lose the 1-3-1. You're not going to have pressure mid lane. Like, from here, C9 should be able to control all the waves and all the jungle.
So we got some side lane going on. There is a lot of farm on Yusui. I will kind of tunnel on that because, you know, I like the Irelia pick. I think she's a really strong champion, and just my eyes are on Yusui a lot just because he just kind of stands out on the roster to me as someone who's involved in so many of the plays. He's got farm, but not as much as Zven, and unfortunately, you know, hasn't been able to get anything strong offensively. Great play by Zven. Love those pierces through on the minion and, you know, some decent poke on a Neo. It's not going to matter too much, but I mean, Cloud9 just in ownership of this game.
And even from here, you know, I was talking about they're going to have total control. They don't need to explode the game immediately. I mean, it's a 5K gold lead, pre-20 minutes. Next soul point at 4 minutes from now. So, yeah, take it slow here. Clean up the rest of the outers. I mean, all those are still up. That's the important thing to talk about with this gold lead is there's still a lot of standing gold on the map. Like, as soon as they actually start blowing these up, it's going to balloon even further. They can hopefully get these done before the next dragon fight, so they're at maximum strength for it. And here they go, trying to dive mid lane.
Straight up just dives the turret, and it's like, didn't work, whatever. Team's still here to push in, decent damage, but they can't get any more. Afro's anchor on Cloud9 for a second more. Now available to go in, but there's no good targets anymore. So, and of course, you know, Vulcan can do whatever he wants. Anyone else can do it as long as Fudge is on the screen. It is very hard to finalize that first kill. Perkz just permanently now on split push. Has the Luden's Echo done, or Luden's Tempest, I guess, and some autos. Ooh, does he really get onto Yusui? He's gonna find some decent damage. Ult comes across, Chain's gonna get a bit more, half HP.
Yeah, chunks out Yusui. Yusui's trying to clear up off the wave. I mean, this is the nice thing about the Blade of the Rune King first, skipping your Mythic instead, going for this, not too uncommon, and it gives you a little bit more sustain in the 1-3-1, but all in, still a threat.
A stun, a flash, a Zac coming across, Ulti coming in there as well. Can they chase down Vulcan? No one's in range to save him. So yes, this is the bait, this is the kill. Yusui's gonna grab the gold. Well played, perfect game averted. Now Fudge versus FakeGod 1v1. That stun's gonna land, and he's gonna pull him back in, and just like that, 2 kills on the board. Top laners fighting, and it's FakeGod who has to walk away. Fudge now winning the 1v1.
I mean, making me eat my words pretty quickly here, Dignitas. Nice bait up in the top side. I mean, Blaber was farming his camps, and then instead of going up to top there, he actually went for the mid-pressure dive, and they did get a turret off of it. Didn't end up killing Neo. But, you know, Blaber is the most fed member of Cloud9. He is the one from that ace who ended up insanely far ahead of the rest of the game. And so when you're not fighting with him, it's not like Perkz is fed by any stretch of the imagination. Him 1v1 versus Yusui, like you were saying with the CS and all that stuff, and the fact that they hadn't gotten a ton of global gold yet means that's actually pretty close. And then it's support versus jungler being your second man in the fight. Like, yeah, I'll take the Zac even from behind a little bit over the Alistar.
But it's still a huge deficit to walk back from.
Yeah, I mean, they're not back quite yet, but
no,
not a bad first, you know,
It is
step.
It is a good first step going towards what should be a Divine Sunderer here on the Irelia, so that'll be a very important power spike when it comes through. Just relying on the Mercury Treads for magic resist, no, you know, Wit's End into the LeBlanc or anything like that. Merc Treads, you know, of course, not bad. Bonus health going to be useful here as well. And now Yusui going to try for the next round. Is down a level under Perkz, but Akaadian's around. Yeah, stun's going to be almost impossible to land. Distortion is instant cast. FakeGod can stay for turret damage. Honestly, one more auto kills it. Okay, there you go. And now trying to battle up against Fudge, but has to be respectful. Yeah, ultra move speed, but could be chomped up. When does he want to cast it? Gore Drinker used. Now reinforcements and ult not required. FakeGod is going to go down. Kill credit goes to Blaber.
Blaber picks that one up, getting even further ahead. Right call, all things considered. Perkz in a bit of trouble there.
You see, Yusui does good damage. Flash, you know, very much down for the Irelia. Up if Perkz needed it. And just quickly wave clears and runs away.
I mean, the 2 kills they got, hold on.
1v3.
Did not see them coming.
Will find a stun, but I don't know how you get any kills. Look for Perkz. Good sidestep by Perkz to turn back down and not be the stun target. But yeah, a great roam by the C9 bottom lane. 10-2 in the scoreboard.
Keeping control of the game, not letting it get away. Dragons in 40 seconds. Yusui will respawn before then and does have TP, so he might be able to get in range for it, but they're not going to have any good wards. This feels like that kill giving over to Soul Point now for C9, and if there was any hope they had in the game, I think, you know, it had to be like, okay, we get some pick before the dragon and can slow the stacking down. Here now they're in a lot of trouble.
And you can see the attempt at a channel, but Akaadian's like, no, there's really no way to kill this guy. Can tell that there's a roam on the way over as well, so don't overextend, don't get yourself picked off. Yeah, Fudge not going to be in really any danger. Just tanking up on the front line, stacking durability. Iceborne Gauntlet now done as well.
Look at that vision. Like, hey, why don't we contest this dragon with literally no vision anywhere in bot side except the Tribe Brush?
Yep. All you know is the support's right down next to that port of the river as the new ward comes in. And Tahm Kench going to find a knock-up. Fudge in the middle of the enemy team. He will survive for a while. Smite Steal's not going to come through for Akaadian. Running out of health pretty rapidly, puts the ulti down. Then FakeGod's here to help, but can they get the rest of the damage? Because, by the way, Irelia's been chomped up. Yusui goes back in, but do they have the damage to kill? Here comes the thick skin, and Perkz is able to get the snipe and the kill onto Yusui, and it's time to chase them down, and do so they will. Cloud9 on 3, Cloud9 on 4, and it's time for Akaadian to drop down for the 5th. A great knock-up by Fudge. He's dancing under the turret. He's recalling with thick skin on. There is no chance for Dignitas.
Dignitas just try and brute force their way into the river, try and charge right past C9. Akaadian slingshots past his team, dying to try and get in range for the smite, but you're against a Kalista. So, of course, he just rends it away, and then your team's totally disjointed. You know, there's a ton of pressure on Neo that whole time, and just a total clean ace by C9. Gonna grab the Baron off the back end of that.
I like the what's in second for Zven. The primary dive opposition is actually Ziggs plus Zac doing a lot of the damage there. And so, yeah, okay, Zac flies in and ults and Ziggs over the top, and you're like, no, I still got shield bone, man. It's not really a problem here. Good job claiming Baron. Of course, there weren't really any deaths, so Baron grabbed, gold lead 9,000. Cloud9 looking to end the game.
So here's what I was talking about with Zac just ignoring his team. With the vision, Perkz is playing off on the side, want to try and kill the squishy members when he walks through, so you see him targeting Neo there. Akaadian's like, I got knocked up, I'm just going to keep running through, I don't care, just slingshots in range. And then in the backside of the fight, you know, you have this 3v3 going in favor of C9 because Neo has such a hard time walking up, and then the other two people that they can focus down are Fudge and Vulcan. And then on the front side of the fight, you know, Akaadian is now trying to deal with a top laner and an AD carry. So just none of these fronts are going to go well for Dignitas, considering how far behind they are, the fact that they had no vision, they had to charge in. Just so easy for Cloud9 to win this fight.
Obviously really good aim there. The slingshot could not get away. Good aim by Fudge. And then, yeah, I like this. Recalls don't get stopped if the damage is on the shield. So I like, you know, knowing the tech that thick skin recall is doable under the turret.
Get some of the food out there before he gets interrupted.
I mean, that's like, you know, that's better than the emote meta, is knowing, like, I can recall into this turret for like 3 seconds because we're just going to finish the kill on the blobs. No big deal.
Lock it.
It's a good play. Yeah, lock it adds in as well.
BM meta, I guess, for that item.
I mean, if you are Alistar, right, the damage reduction works. You can lock it ult as Alistar. You can recall for a few seconds there as well, as long as lock shield hold.
Pop a stone plate while you're at it.
Yeah, another important shield. So a lot that can be done. Just, you know, if you're looking to add some insult to injury, because certainly there's a lot of injury right now. Mountain Soul already claimed. Red Bull Baron buff is on the power play at 3,300 gold, looking at a bit more in the next minute and a half. Expect mid lane tier 2 to drop, and the bottom inhibitor turret also under fire. C9 gonna let top lane alone. It is still Yusui grabbing farm and trying to be a major factor here, but that seems unlikely, maybe due for demotion.
Yeah, Neo as the Ziggs, you're hoping can kind of wave clear while Yusui catches up on some farm, but there's such a dive threat right now. C9 are still threatening, still getting some chunk underneath this turret, while they just took the mid lane one, so here, you're gonna see him engage.
And that is a stun. That is a death onto Neo. 1 for 0, looking at a bit more. Perkz has to get right back out. FakeGod gonna try to find the damage. Can't do so. Unable to get Perkz as the locket shields are on, and that's the chase down into Aphromoo. It's already 3 kills picked up and still no casualties. 3 turrets and 2 kills are all that Dignitas got. Yusui gonna drop yet again, and Zac is gonna wait on the fountain. No one gonna be surprised. Fudge again will tank the towers. He really does not care. The man is a tank and can ignore all the threats. Akaadian, add to the KDAs, why not? Deal a little bit more damage, but it's gonna be yet another ace. 20-2. Cloud9 never let up on this game and absolutely demolished Dignitas.
Nearly a perfect game. Like you said, they lost those couple kills. Couple turrets went their way, but honestly, there's pretty much no moment where C9 was not in control of this game. You know, and off that initial roam around level 3 or 4, they just took it over and never let go. Absolutely stomped Dignitas. We are talking about this game being a how close is Dignitas to the rest of the teams, and you know, C9 making it look like they're in a league of their own.
I gotta say, that mid lane, I'm still playing it back in my mind. All right, we're gonna 3v1 dive you. Okay, they trade his flash. Cool. Now 4v1 dive you, 2 more flashes. All right, now you're dead. And it's like, sorry, Yusui?
Yeah, it's like, what'd you want him to do? Because Ziggs was freezing the wave the whole time. So Vulcan and Zven just stayed there. Normally, someone dives you, you're like, all right, well, I made it out. Now I'll get to collect my wave. And then instead, another man comes. It felt pretty brutal for Yusui there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anything would have been different if Neo shoved the wave, went for a plate. Yeah, I mean, the overall game was clearly a better played one by Cloud9, so well done to them. And they're going to keep that race going. As we continue watching the race for playoffs, we're partnering with the